so sorry.
Well, listen, it's a very small dog. A very small dog is basically a cat.
Anything under 20 pounds is a cat, and cats are pointless.
Anything
16 is my deception.
What was it?
16.
Okay. Wendy, you walk back, not unnoticed, obviously, but they managed to redirect his attention. Student 9 watches, and he points to the ground, and you see etched in the dust. No, you don't, you're blind. He says that he has cast an incantation to test the air of this place. And it's stale and old, as though it hasn't been in motion for many years, but he also discerns many differences between it and the air of the spire where you came from. He believes this confirms your suspicion that the only entrances in or out are some kinds of portals.
In that case, we have a magical artifact that sucks the magic from whatever we use it on, and uses it to create an image of the spell that was used to cause it. If we stole the magic from that portal, perhaps that would collapse whatever entrance was there.
What artifact are you talking about?
I'm talking about the Stone of no rune.
Create rune.
Create rune.
Extract rune?
Extract rune.
Now that'll extract the rune from the target if it has a specific spell, but it won't render it.
I thought it destroyed the thing that it was used on.
Yeah.
Right, but you can only target a potion, a scroll, something expendable with it. You can't target an actual magical item with it.
Okay.
Never mind.
I mean, something cool might happen if you try it.
We can at least learn something about it. We have two ways of doing so. Because we have legend lore and that.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good idea.
Do you describe to him the legend lore spellstone?
Yeah.
He asks you about it twice to make sure that he's heard you correctly. This device that you're carrying. He asks if you're carrying it now.
And Wendy nods.
He looks at the rune on it. And he almost recoils from it, immediately hands it back. He says, "This is very potent magic.
And Wendy
But
nods
it is
again.
also very evil magic. I would ask where you came by this." Okay, those are REM notes. Don't chew those. I need those.
No, you don't. We slaughtered that game. It's dead.
It's amusing to me at this point. I feel so bad that I'm interrupting the game every 5 minutes to take something out of my dog's mouth and try to give her a chew toy.
You just need to pick up that dog.
Put it in your lap and pretend like you're a supervillain, because you basically are.
He describes the magic as being very potent, but also very evil, and asks where you came by this stone.
I don't remember. Like, Wendy would remember. Wendy has a very higher in wisdom score than I do.
Does anybody
We
else
got
remember?
We got it from the bottom. Was it the bottom? We got it from the Drow, I guess, monastery place.
Or no, the Drow Tower, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We
Alright,
found
and
it
I'll
when they hid-
describe that to him.
Yeah.
And I'll agree that the source of the magic is dark, but the spell itself doesn't seem to be.
He asks if he motions to the top half of the rune.
Mm-hmm.
The top part of it, rather.
And Wendy nods and says, and agrees that that's what she's referring to.
He asks if you've noticed this particular mark anywhere else on the items or scrolls in your journey that you've come across.
And Wendy nods again and says that she believes it to be associated with the Underdark. Or possibly a darker place still.
The Shadowfell, right?
He tells you he understands why you would believe that, why you would make that mistake. But he affirms that this particular rune has a strong association with the Shadowfell. That this is shadow magic. It's the type of magic that binds undead creatures to the mortal plane. And that your every use of this spellstone may or may not have been noticed by something powerful that resides there. Hopefully you've used this spellstone only in times of great need.
The rest of the party laughs at Wendy.
And Wendy shrugs and says, if it's gained the attention of something evil, I'd rather be paying attention to us than someone innocent.
Like when he's like, it was. I really needed to use it all those times.
Listen, I learned a lot about twigs and acorns and shit on the way here.
It's a pretty good answer, though.
Yeah, that's a really good answer.
He asks if you could find some pretense on which to excise Hantao from this room. And that perhaps in this particular case they could use this stone to learn more quickly about what they should do about this room.
And Wendy nods again.
Okay. Then he motions that you should return to the group, and he tells you he'll follow your lead.
Yep, and Wendy heads back over and tries to listen into what they're talking about.
Okay.
What's the general gist of the conversation right now, guys?
Just the conversation, I think, was we were talking about Huyan and his wife's designs, I guess, for fleeing with his sons, and Raazu would be kind of leading him toward maybe leaving with taking his sons himself away from this place.
Birdie's lying, sitting on the ground crying, clutching his pack because it's not as full as weird esoteric crap as it was before.
Okay, and then Wendy and Student 9 approach. So you're trying to convince Hantao to leave with his sons?
Yeah.
And he shakes his head and says that he has his loyalty to his father has to come first.
But you're
anyone
concerned that
else.
if you're... Oh, sorry.
What about the loyalty to the life that you helped bring into this world? If it's not safeguarded, then would that be a greater sin?
And he kind of puffs up his chest a little bit, and his brow furrows. He tells you, the Hobgoblin war chief is lecturing to me about the importance of children. How many have you had?
None.
Then you cannot fathom the importance with which I make this decision. And then he very gruffly turns back towards Wendy and Student 9 who are approaching. So what did you find?
And Wendy looks around the room and says, we were looking into the reason why people appear next to different statues. And Wendy will kind of look over at Student 9. And I didn't really understand the magic behind it. It was a little over my head.
Are you trying to prompt him to say something?
Yes.
What do you want him to say?
I want him to say some magic shit that's way over this Dragonborn said.
Okay. Make a wisdom check.
Yeah.
Technobabble.
That's a 23.
Okay.
20, I'm sorry.
And Student 9 nods and says some technobabble that may or may not make sense. Birdie, go ahead and make an Arcana check to see if you recognize it as technobabble.
I'm humbled you think of me as a war chief.
That's a 19.
A 19? This isn't like the other times where he's been explaining stuff and you just weren't able to follow along. You're sure he's being deliberately confusing this time in an effort to mislead Hantao for some reason.
Birdie perks up and stands up, puts his pack back on. And just
So, sorry, finish.
I was just saying, now he's listening very intently.
And
So-
Wendy will... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm changing the conversation, so.
Well, so Wendy will turn towards Hantao then and say, but you're worried that your wife might be behaving in a way that might cause your father to react against her. And you said that your father has been acting erratically recently, right? Perhaps the problem with Huyan was that she grew up with too much safety in the nurturing warmth of your father. Perhaps if your children were to be given some time on their own with their mother somewhere else, they might grow up better, stronger.
He reminds you that it was Huyan leaving and returning at so late a date that caused her treachery. Better to bring Mequin and the children to heal now, so that they may serve his Lord Father all the better.
So it's your intention to actually go back to your father and tell him everything that you found here, as well as everything that's going on with your wife and 2 kids? Have I got this right?
He tells you that he is inclined to see you and yours safely into the foothills, beyond his father's immediate reach. He owes you that much.
Wait. Do you think your wife might have heard about Huyan's body being brought back?
Most likely now, it was sitting right outside her doorstep.
He says he doubts there's a soul alive in the domain that hasn't heard the news by now.
If she finds out that Huyan's dead and that you've left, she might think that this is her opportunity to make a break for it. If you want to bring her to heal, you should do it as soon as possible. We can make our way to the foothills on our own. You don't have to worry about us.
He says, surely you're right. And then he holds his hand out. He says, then I will take the keys to the door and return them to my father. And wish you neither good nor ill from this point.
Wendy nods and hands the keys over.
Okay. He takes them. Then he asks you how to get out of this room.
And Wendy looks around and says, last time it started shuddering or something.
Birdie Birdie pulls him over and says, and he says, I need the keys. And he asks for the keys and he pulls him to the center of the room. And he
gotta
says,
make a deception check because you don't need the keys to get out of the room.
Make that deception check, Birdie.
You don't have to roll particularly high. Listen, Hansau has many strengths, but insight
14.
is not. Yeah, you got it. You got him.
14. So, and I bring him to the center of the room.
Now, Birdie,
and then
if you're going to send Hansau out of this room and nobody else, he's immediately going to know he was duped.
Oh, yeah. We should all make like we're going to leave. I'm assuming we can find a way back in. If Student 9 starts looking nervous, he should speak up.
He looks like he's watching how is this going to play out. Hansau returns the keys to Birdie and says, of course.
And then he has him stand here,
Mm-hmm.
and then he scratches the thing in the rock, I guess, to activate it.
And you can't make scratch marks in the rock with your knife. Or with anything. You're missing a step.
Okay. Birdie runs over and bends down and sticks his knife in the inky blackness down here. Can I actually reach that?
Oh yeah, you can reach up over the lip. Because remember, there was a kobold kind of clinging to the inside of it when you first arrived.
I mean, my question was, can I reach down into there with a knife without falling?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing actually to reach into. It's just darkness and nothingness going down. All he did was crane his arm in with it and hold it for a few seconds. That's all you do as well.
Yep. And I do that. And I also, while I'm dangling down, I look at the keys and I dangle them down in there too.
Okay.
I don't let them go, but I just hold them in there for a few seconds. And I pull them out.
Okay.
And I walk over, and the first thing I do is I try to scratch the pattern with the keys.
And it starts to work. One of the keys.
Okay.
And
then,
Wendy will step off to the side with Student 9. Do we need the keys to get back in?
Student 9 says not to get back in. The keys were to remove the plate from the portal.
And
which is currently
Wendy will
open.
nod.
So, we'll be along shortly.
No. Birdie,
No.
we can't get out of here without the keys.
Yeah.
And we'll all hurry up.
Okay. So
head over to the center.
who all's leaving when Birdie etches this sigil into the obsidian?
Raazu.
Wendy goes to grab Birdie.
What? No! He starts kicking like a child.
Adrex will, unless there's objection to it.
Hey, and Rolf is absolutely leaving. Student 9 steps up on the dais. Birdie, what do? Do you finish the sigil correctly?
I mean, yes.
Okay. And you all are teleported out of the room. Back to the spire.
This is where I wish Red were here, because I would, because I feel like Hantao would have been stabbed already.
I mean, you could totally stab him.
What would Red do?
There's
Stab him.
nothing preventing you from sneak attacking on Tao. You'll certainly be surprised.
Yeah. At this point, like, I'm seriously thinking about it.
I don't know.
Like,
Birdie's Kobold. How surprised will he be?
Here's the thing, though. Hantao is not a bad guy. It's just that he is blinded by his loyalty.
Yeah, that's like the worst kind of people, though. Like, seriously, like they do the worst kind of atrocities in the name of loyalty. I was just following orders.
Mr. Oh, I'm holding on to all this treasure for my Black Dragon patron. Yes, okay.
Yes, and I didn't give all of it away to save your life. Thank you.
So you bring Hantao out, and he begins to exit the spire, essentially.
And Wendy will say, Wait, did we ever take that piece of the spire?
No, we didn't take our payment, no. Raazu looks to Hantao.
Hantao waits a moment, then he nods, and he tells you to be quick about it.
Let's chip off a piece.
There's a good piece down here, and he, like, before we climb out, Birdie whispers to Wendy. He was like, "I think we gotta kill this guy."
And Wendy will shake her head and say, Student 9 and I have a plan. Don't worry about it.
Do you? Okay.
Raazu watches Birdie and Wendy fiddle around with the obsidian.
Okay, you manage to get like an arrowhead-sized piece out of the wall to go with the 2-foot rod you also have.
Mm-hmm.
What's next?
All right, we'll head out of the spire. And at our earliest convenience, when Hantao leaves, we'll head back.
Did we lock the door behind us?
No. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Did you return the keys to Hantao?
Yes.
Okay. And so is the plan like you're going to reach a fork? You're going to be like, hey, we can get out of here on our own. We don't need you to cover for us?
Yep. That's the plan.
Okay. Then you reach a point in the caves where the path forks. And he tells Student 9 that in all likelihood he will no longer enjoy his father's welcome in the territory, that he should descend to the foothills along with these other trespassers. And Student 9 nods and says that's very likely for the best. Please give your father my best regards.
Raazu just says it didn't have to end this way, Hantao. We could have been friends.
Hantao says nothing to that. Imparts your company.
Door's always open, she calls after him.
Oh, that reminds me, we forgot to lock the door. We've got to go back and put the plate up. What's next?
All right, let's turn around and go figure out what the heck we can do.
Go right back to the way you came?
What's the real plan?
Yeah.
Can we destroy this? You think?
Destroy the path leading into the thing?
And I'll look towards 39 and say, you thought there was another way, though, but there was something that we could do?
If you guys left the plate off, you could just use the portal that you came through to go back.
Yeah, so let's get back in there and use that legend lore and the extract rune on that portal. See what the hell's going on in here.
Okay. Who's using the legend lore?
Oh, Wendy is.
Okay.
I'll use the extract rune.
Again, extract rune is not going to have much function. It might get an unpredictable result, but it's not going to do what it says on the tin. So what do you do with the extract rune spellstone?
I use it on the portal itself, like
the inky blackness.
The inky blackness itself.
So like you just hold the spellstone over the inky blackness and cast extract rune.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
And that's where we lose extract rune.
I need you to first make me a Constitution saving throw.
Birdie gets bodily thrown across the room.
Extract room.
That's a 3, sir.
A 3. Okay.
Killed instantly, no save.
There is no appeal.
Please do not give the DM ideas.
Hey,
Oh,
whatever.
that
I'm
was me,
about to
that's
use the
Gygax.
evil spellstone on it next.
Well, okay, it's a 7 if Raazu's beside me.
33 points of necrotic damage. And
Still up, Birdie?
I have 2 hit points.
oh, damn. You guys watch as Birdie's whole form goes slack. His fingers go limp, and you see the spellstone drop from his hands. And he can't move. Birdie, you are stunned. And he teeters there on the brink for a moment, and everybody's watching to see which way he'll fall.
No, I'm not. I'm grabbing
Raazu
him.
reaches forward and pulls him by the collar of his shirt back onto the ground.
Birdie, you let the spellstone do its thing, and you feel more magic energy that this stone can contain flow through it and begin to flow into your body. Everything just goes completely black for a moment, and you feel cold and empty. And before you realize what's going on, Wendy and Raazu are slapping you back awake. You feel incredibly drained and exhausted, and the spellstone is nowhere to be found.
You dropped it, Birdie. Good job.
Birdie very weakly holds up his hand and flips Raazu off, and then puts his hands down and closes his eyes.
Do I whip him now or after I've healed him?
Student 9 kind of rushes to the side and looks over. For the first time, you see him move with like great haste and purpose that's not characteristic of him, and whips his head back at Birdie, and he just looks with disbelief that he's just dropped this priceless spellstone into the void.
Raazu is a little bit irritated with him. Yeah, no, I'm mad at him too, but you know what?
Like, okay, why are you mad at me? Because this was the plan. Like,
Well, I wasn't expecting you to drop the damn thing.
Wendy, what do you do with your priceless spellstone?
Tell you what,
Lays on hands, gives him 10 hit points back.
Okay.
I'm gonna hold it on the other side of the well. Because I only have to be the one touching the inky blackness to use my spell.
Okay, but you're discharging a different spell entirely as well.
Yeah.
You receive visions, rapid fire, like a quick cut montage of thousands and thousands of years of warfare, of metal men bred for war, more sophisticated than the ones that you've seen. Ruling over all of them is a cloaked, dark figure. And you instinctively recognize this thing as the Lord of Blades. And he presides over many battlefields across millennia, sending out his hordes and hordes of metal warriors that he has a functionally infinite supply from. He builds them and sends them out to war, conquering lands and laying waste to the natural terrain. And you see these scenes of him building 5 great monsters. And you recognize the skeletons of them as dragons, and you watch over decades and centuries as magic is interlaced into these creatures. as sinew and muscle are spun on great looms and then weaved across the bones of these creatures. And then after that, great organs and great machines that can create gouts of fire or poison or acid are put into place. And after that, great scales are forged. And you realize you're watching this creature over thousands of years consolidating his power and magic and building these monsters and then letting them loose on the world. And then you see a circle of dwarves chanting. I guess Wendy would know what dwarves are, more or less.
Well, we met some in the Underdark. They were slaves.
Standing in a great circle around a great pit in the dark caverns of some mountain somewhere, easily a mile in diameter across. Hundreds of these predominantly dwarves, have come to this great meeting, and you see other southlings as well, gnomes, a small number of humans, and even elves, and other humanoid creatures that you don't rightly recognize. Creatures with sweeping demonic tails or great feathery wings growing from their backs. And you feel the power of the incantation that they're chanting. And you feel that with great expense, they do this thing. And then the pit is filled with this great circular wall of obsidian. And then you snap back, holding the legend lore stone in your hand. And it's quite spent.
Did any of the metal men, did they look more like Student 9? Like, do I now have a reason to not believe that he's been truthful with us?
You saw a great many of them across a great span of time. Some were very sophisticated, like Student 9 seems to be. Some were much more just pragmatic and functional, like the golems that you fought in this room last week.
Sure.
But you definitely feel like if Student 9 is one of these creatures, he has a connection to this Lord of Blades that he's not letting on.
Mm-hmm. And, like, basically I'll just be truthful, because either way, like, if he already knows, then he'll know if I'm lying.
Mm-hmm.
And if he doesn't already know, then he hasn't been lying to us. So I'll just tell everyone what I saw.
And Student 9 just very quietly and carefully regards your recollection. And he asks you what you make of it.
And Wendy will say, I'm not sure. It seems like something you might have more experience in. And Wendy will look over at him.
He tells you that the Lord of Blades was destroyed when his people rose up in rebellion many, many centuries ago, before the Southlings even left these lands. If the creature you saw was this old and evil god, then it was from times very ancient indeed.
Can I make an insight check on him?
If you want. Are you just trying to discern if he's lying?
Yeah. That's a 24.
You can't imagine he's lying, because if he's lying and you can tell, you guys will overpower him here. He can't fight you all off at once.
Yeah.
There's really no reason for him to lie in this place.
And Wendy will nod and say, it seems then that you're our best hope for someone who would understand the magic of this place enough to destroy it.
Just Birdie sits up and he goes, does that mean that the dragons, these ancient dragons, and he points at all the statues, does that mean they're automatons?
Are dragons fake?
Automatons?
Birdie looks at him and says, giant killer clockwork toys.
He said that, but from what the vision, it seemed like that he would be yes, but Qiang Zhao sired Han Tao and Hu Yan, didn't he? Like,
Well, he
how
did
does that
say
even work?
he did say that they were making them out of bone and sinew.
Student 9 tells you that there are many ways to build creatures from magic. That most of this craft has been lost to time immemorial. But it's not outside the realm of possibility that you could build a creature of flesh and bone. And then he regards the statues in this room and says that if that's the case, then building such creatures with the intent on controlling them would give you a very powerful weapon indeed.
Birdie starts hyperventilating.
That's insane that this dragon is construct instead of a creature.
And Wendy will shrug and say, I got made at some point. What's the difference?
You do notice that Adrex is like stealing glances at the red dragon statue every now and then, like a kid who has the keys to his parents' Ferrari and they've just gone on vacation.
Adrex
Like-
Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
Adrex Bueller.
Student 9 asks
Not
Wendy
really
what he
good.
makes of the second what she makes of the second part of the vision of all of the Southlings standing in a circle.
Southlings worshipped it at some point, maybe?
Or they're the ones who wanted to take control here? We did see those dwarven robots.
We also know that there at least at one point was a Southling presence up this far north, because we have ran into several ghosts that have claimed there were villages and settlements and
You're
cities
right.
here.
That ghost in the temple way back when. Almost over a year ago now.
Perhaps they
Were we first
attempted to take control of all of the Lord of Blaine's powers. They were making robots like he has. They were attempting to take over his dragons.
And the dragons got loose and probably ate them, because that's what I would do if I were a dragon. I'd eat all of my enemies.
I just want to say I was a dragon for a little while. Kinda sucked. Not gonna lie. Really tiring. And he's so mad all the time. Oh, it's just anger, just constant anger. Oh. And he
Birdie
controls
points.
his temples.
Birdie points at the black dragon statue and says, "Try that one."
I don't know it.
You're mad.
What? I want to see if it works. Because he's supposed to be dead.
Well, if they're dead, they're not gonna work, right?
I don't
That
know.
makes
Go
sense.
over there and try it and see.
Student 9
Why don't-
kind of sheepishly pipes up and says, just as there is apparently methods for creating these monsters from magic. He looks at Wendy. He says, I've also seen in writings methods of creating monsters with shadow from their remains.
That's not ideal.
And he looks at Birdie and says, though this black dragon may have been killed, I would not assume that the statue is inert. A dragon's
more-
body is a powerful and magical thing, even dead.
He looks at Adrex with, like, his eyes are shining now. He says, like, so that means we gotta try it now. Come on.
Which one is the black dragon?
The southern
That
one.
seems really dangerous.
Seems incredibly dangerous.
I think Adrex.
Sounds like a great idea.
As Adrex is crossing the room,
Ne-
Student 9 turns to
Adrex.
Wendy and says, I caution strongly against this.
Raazu does as well. Adrex, listen, that took just pushing your head into Qian Zhao's brain nearly put you on the ground. Do you want to try? You want to do that again so soon?
No.
Besides, we already have one dragon angry at us at the moment. We don't need to annoy
Compound
another
matters.
shadow dragon, Adrex.
Birdie's. I agree. Birdie's giving me those like eyes though, where he's like,
So here's the
Oh,
thing,
you're just,
Birdie,
like,
from what I can tell, Birdie is
bad
giving you the
influence?
eyes that are saying, hey, I don't want to do this thing.
I can't. I tried. It wouldn't work for me on any of them.
I'm just saying, Birdie's going to get himself eaten if you piss off that dragon and it comes here. Now, maybe Birdie's okay with that. Maybe Birdie's okay with getting eaten. But I don't think you would be, Adrex.
Like, Birdie looks at you and says, "That is a very low blow, and I resent you greatly." And he sits down.
Yeah.
And crosses his arms.
Okay, Wendy's made a good point.
Okay, so with that,
Y'all think you need a statue to control it.
what do we need to do about making it so that Qiang Zhao can't get in here and exert his own control over this?
Yeah.
You, Student 9, you examined this and found a way to activate it. Is there a way to deactivate it?
He says it's possible. It would be better. And he looked back to Wendy. He says it would be better if we were able to examine it with that stone.
And
It's going to take a day.
yeah, it'll take a day, but I don't think that.
8 hours.
Yeah, 8 hours. And I don't think that God, what's his name? All I can remember is Hu Yan. It's the only one.
Han Tao.
Han Tao. I don't think that Han Tao will be back by then, but we could keep watch.
It would be a close thing, I think. Because it's only a couple hours there and back.
Yeah, it wouldn't take long for him to marshal forces, especially since he's back in his father's good graces. Thanks, Adrex.
So how about
well-
this? How about we use the time that it takes to recharge the stone, trying to find out as much as we can while keeping watch? If we have the time, we'll use it. But let's not waste the time that we have until then. We'll just, if we see them coming, we'll leave. We
Birdie,
can always try to sneak back in here later.
Birdie walks over here and he puts a trap down that the trap he's carrying down about where he thinks the people pop in,
Okay.
and he sets it up to where it'll trip, I guess, anybody that comes in.
Here's the thing: we still have the keys, yeah?
No.
No, we
Oh,
don't.
that's right. So Han Tao comes back. He's going to lock this place up. You see that he don't.
Well, it's a
We're not going to have another chance to get back in here.
and like and Wendy shrugs and says, if he locks it up for good, then problem solved.
If he locks it up, it's going to be at his Lord Father's decree, and it'll be opened back up once his Lord Father can control it himself.
Pretty much.
And at that point, we'll deal with it. What is your suggestion, Raazu?
My suggestion is we destroy the spire completely.
Right, and we're going to spend the next few hours looking into how to do that.
So are we taking a long rest in here to recharge the legend lore?
Yeah, basically, I think, Birdie, do you mind being on watch? Because you're the one who can get in and out easily.
I mean, sure. I've only got 12 hit points left. But what's that matter?
Raazu gives him the last of her lay on hand, so it's another 20.
I am a little sad that I was 2 hit points away from getting rid of Birdie.
Would I have just disintegrated if I died?
Treble, listen to me.
Was that a disintegrate?
2 days before Christmas, you couldn't give this to me?
Was that a disintegrate spell? Was that what happened?
No, because let me tell you by experience, that was not enough damage for a disintegrate spell.
No, it was not.
It was not, no.
I just watched a disintegrate spell on the old Flumph videos do 91 damage, so yeah.
Go ahead and take the benefits of the long rest.
Okay.
Yay!
And where are you bending? And remember, if you want to take a third use of the stone, it's going to take 24
It takes 24 hours.
Yeah.
So what do we think is going to be the most useful thing to use it on?
So you could use it on either of these dragon statues, the 5
We
of
kind of
them,
know what those do.
or the dais in the center.
Yeah.
Make an
Oh, you
Arcana
kind of
check.
sounded like there was going to be another thing after that.
Maybe there is. Make an Arcana check.
Alright.
Raazu gets a lot of hit points back now. Thank you.
Hey, I lose a level of exhaustion. Adrex sleeps like a baby.
18.
When do you recall the descriptions of the illusions in the air? Seeing the pillar of flame come out of the hole, fill up the top area of the room, the great fiery dragon. You're thinking there has to be a mechanism built into the dome of the ceiling to facilitate that sort of illusion. So that's another potential target for legend lore.
Okay, so what is our goal here? We're trying to find some way to deactivate this area?
Yeah, disable it so that it can't be, so that it cannot be used.
It seems like the thing in the roof is worth looking into, but perhaps that's not the best use of our time for deactivating this area completely, unless it is what is facilitating actually controlling the dragon, in which case destroying that would be essentially a way of blocking off using this spot without it being obvious what we had done. Because they'll just come in here and it won't work.
That's a good point.
And I'll turn towards Student 9 and I'll ask him if that makes sense. If there could be if it would be required for that illusion to be going on in order to control whatever dragon it was. Do I remember anything like that machine in my vision?
No. No, you basically saw the Lord of Blades' desire for power and control and the mechanism he built with which to do that, and then you watch the Southlings fill their big hole with the Obsidian Spire. Student 9 gives you the standard NPC response of this is not his decision. Why are you asking the DM?
Because he's the one who knows anything about magic in the room.
He tells you there are benefits each way. If you use this legend lore on the portal, you may learn information on how to deactivate the portal.
Yeah.
If you use legend lore on the statues, you may learn a way to deactivate one or more of the statues. If you use legend lore on the illusion, you may learn more about the nature of the illusion, which isn't so much an illusion as a projection. Perhaps disabling the projection somehow will disable the elements of control.
And
ultimately,
seems like the best. Yeah, ultimately, like any of our options could lead to our goal. That one seems the most likely to lead to our goal while making it not clear what happened.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. So yeah, let's go with the projection then.
Yeah, and I'll fly up there and I'll use the legend lore on it.
Okay. And flying up there, you can't see. Okay.
I can send some wind up there.
And it's difficult, but you find inlays of precious metals in the upper sections of the walls, arcing upward into the dome, coming to a center point in the middle. And these precious metals, sometimes they sit flush with the obsidian, and sometimes they seem to be underneath a layer of the obsidian.
Uh-huh.
Using the legend lore here.
I was going to say, can we non-cipher bonus that to let Wendy carry a light source up there, so that we can see that?
Okay.
I mean, if you want me to be carrying my torch, I don't care. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. Using legend lore here, you see a great collection of elves, and they're collected under duress. They're prisoners of some kind. And two people preside over them, a dwarf and a human. And they seem to be drawing lots. And they call out a name. And when they do, one of this crowd of maybe 100 or so assembled elves is brought forth in chains. And they do this 5 times. And these elves are marched over the countryside and up a very treacherous hillside and into the mountains and then into a mine and then into the obsidian spire and spiraling downward. And you see the spire, the mine of it itself in its heyday, in its great glory, not the ruin that you've explored. And these elves are brought into this room, and each one is stood before one of the 5 dragon statues. And the elves, they have their hands placed onto the dragon's claws, such that the claws impale through their palms. And behind them, jailers stand to make sure that they don't wriggle free. And you watch these elves bleed out and die and their life force drawn into these statues. And as that happens, the air above you in the dome comes violently to life. And you see there's a great celebration amongst the jailers, the humans and dwarves and other elves as well in this room. A great celebration happens as these dragons swirl around in the air above. And you get the sense that these Southlings created this dome, this space, because they weren't able to control the statues the way that they expected. Incredibly large amounts of magic were required to do that. The sacrifice of these 5 elven sorcerers was required. And when you snap back, you realize that breaking or tainting these ley lines in the obsidian would cause the statues to behave unpredictably, or perhaps not at all, if you tried to use them the way Adrex has.
And I'll fly back down and relay that. If I go back up there, we can destroy these ley lines in a way that's not repairable, and when they come back in and attempt to use the statues, they won't know why it won't work.
Unless they were to do some thorough investigation.
Even then, there's no way to repair these.
Cool. Let's break them.
Yeah. Yeah, how are we going to do that?
Luckily, we have a magic item that is specifically designed to break this obsidian.
Well, you wouldn't be breaking obsidian, you'd be breaking these inlays of precious metal, so silver and gold and platinum and whatnot. So you wouldn't need a pick that, like an unbreakable pick, just any kind of standard pick could break or mar these ley lines in the walls.
So stonemason's tools would work.
Stonemason's tools would work excellently for this purpose. But it would take some time. This would not be a quick smash and grab job.
I think it's
looking at the amount of work done, if you had a small team of workers, like 5 or 6 of you working over the course of a couple days, you think you can do enough dismantling that you would be confident that these ley lines are destroyed.
We don't have that kind of time.
Well, we don't know we don't have that time because we don't know when they're planning on coming here.
For all we know, Kung Chao, whatever his name is.
Kung Pao.
Whatever his
Kung
name
Chao.
is.
Yeah.
May have eaten Han Tao in anger before listening to him, so we should
use what time we have available.
Yeah, we should just start getting to work.
Yeah.
Agreed.
This stuff is dangerous.
Should one of us keep one of us should keep watch?
Yeah, no
Out
offense,
there.
Birdie, but I think you're the least likely to be able to help with the heavy lifting.
It's fine. I'll stand outside and keep watch.
So how do you intend to get everybody up into like that high in order to do this work?
I think the only way is going to be to... Oh, go ahead.
I have a, I don't know if it's usable, but I have a climber's kit that I've deliberately, when I was purging everything from my inventory, wanted to
You
keep.
kept it.
Yeah.
So how about we use your climber's kit to kind of like get up there, put some... Can we use the... What is the wall all made of the obsidian?
It is, but you could pound climbing spikes into the metal portions.
Yeah, so let's do that and lay ropes down such that people can stay up there.
Okay.
Mhm.
This is incredibly difficult and exhausting work because you're staying perched on these little climbing spikes attached to ropes for hours at a time. Birdie, you're staying watch down here?
I imagine we'd send Birdie back up into the regular spire just to keep an ear out for anything coming. If he hears anything coming,
Mhm.
like if he wants to put traps down to slow anybody down, that's his own recognizance.
Oh.
Birdie, yeah, that's kind of going to be your marching orders. Is just put traps down to slow anybody coming after us. But
So
otherwise, what's that? Go ahead.
Be a nuisance.
Be a nuisance, Birdie. I want you to be as big of a nuisance toward those kobolds, or toward.
But if you can be a nuisance in a way that doesn't give us away, that would be preferred.
That would be
Yes.
preferable.
Well, like the thing is if they're already that far ahead, and if they're that far coming in, then like at that point, the best thing I can do is buy time.
Just if they're basically what I'm saying here is make sure anything you put up there is dismantleable, so that if we do manage to finish this, we can take it with us when we leave.
Right.
That way we don't leave a footprint, as it were.
Okay.
And you're putting Rolf to this
Scouts.
work as well?
Yeah.
Well, if you can help Birdie.
If he's up for it, yeah.
Okay, Rolf will go help Birdie then, because I mean you guys probably don't have enough tools to go around anyway. So
Like-
working in shifts. You guys spend 3 tiring days doing this work until let's roll a d6 here. Adrex,
Yes, sir.
you're about to call it on the 3rd day. You feel, I mean, your arms are just noodles at this point, having worked so tirelessly. And you suddenly hear screams erupt around the rooms. And you very nearly topple over backwards. And a huge chunk of the wall that you're working on cracks and gives way and crumbles to the floor. You've been knocking off chunks of these precious metals the entire time, basically. They've been piling up around the floor. Birdie's been coming in periodically and organizing them to see, we'll carry these out later. But you hear these screams erupt in flashes of light from each of these 5 statues, only for a moment. And then you realize you're only sitting in the reverberations, the echoes of the screams as they exit the room. And then you and Wendy and Raazu and Student 9 all fall to the ground. I take 8 points of bludgeoning damage. And then I need a dexterity saving throw at disadvantage because you'll all have been knocked prone.
So
I
wait,
imagine
am I
we didn't
unconscious?
really have a time to take a long rest since we're working like that.
You would have
No,
time to
yeah.
take 1 long rest in the interim.
We did. Yeah.
Am I unconscious, Brick?
No.
Then I use my reflex to slow my fall.
So full.
Then you do not
So you said
have
that-
disadvantage on this dexterity save.
Dexterity save.
Only looking for a 12 here.
Am I
Student
next
9.
to
I
it?
pass.
Raazu passes.
No, nobody's next to Raazu because you all are working on different sections of the wall.
Yeah. Adrex fails.
Adrex fails. I need to roll a
Killing
d5 for Adrex. I actually owned a d5, but I don't know where it is. Oh, I should see if Rydia can just find it in here.
Rydia, D5.
Go.
Adrex,
Yeah.
21 points of acid damage.
Yeah.
As you watch as these seams in the walls that you were working all begin to just coagulate, liquefy, and start pouring down the walls. The ones nearest to Kang Zhao's statue turn into molten metal and start down the wall in a river of lava. Over at the White Dragon statue, it turns into this bitter, cold substance, this jelly-like material slithers down the wall. The little piles of gold and silver and platinum knocked off the walls all liquefy as well and melt. Adrex, you'd been working closest to the Black Dragon's statue, and you find yourself suddenly amidst this torrent of acid just rushing down the wall. You're not able to roll out of the way in time. And after a few moments, these substances all kind of gel up in the center of the room, leaving terrible marks across the obsidian as they go, and they begin to evaporate very quickly.
Ooh.
That sucked. Oh.
Does it leave scarring?
On the obsidian, yes.
That
And
they'll
on the
know what-
Adrex.
But
Ooh.
on the floor though?
Not up on this raised dais, though, because this is up off a foot or two, because you got to step up onto this.
Okay. It's just the what I was concerned with is it's marked the floor and the lower walls with this mess.
Oh, yes.
Well, they'll
Only
know we're
momentarily,
here.
because after a moment, all of this liquid begins to evaporate into nothing. Just into vapor, and then it's gone.
And it looks like nothing ever happened.
Now, it looks like a great deal of this obsidian was marked by this torrent of supernatural fire and poison and acid happened.
Oh, okay.
And
I guess-
Wendy shrugs and says, I mean,
Best we could hope for, I guess.
and if you had told us that we could do this, I would have said you were lying. So chances are pretty good we might have gotten away with this one.
Well, let's go collect Birdie and what's his face, and let's get the hell out of here.
Okay.
Rolf. His name is Rolf.
Yeah,
He's trying his best.
Human
His
number
name is
5.
Rolf, and he is trying his best.
Human 5, right.
And you guys are going back to Kyongjiao's domain after this?
No.
We are going into the foothills.
That was
Hawaii
really
Kobold,
subtle, Rick.
3,737.
Student 9 is Student 9's leaving with us, right?
Yes. In fact, he's kind of taking
Okay.
your cues to get safely out of the domain, as you guys have to dodge kobolds and outriders and scouts.
Man,
We have to pretend like we left like 3 days ago.
it just occurred to me. Captain Eyes is going to be really pissed at us.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think Captain Eyes will be fine when we tell him we stopped a draconic super weapon from being deployed against everybody.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hell of a letter to write. I think Red has that, by the way.
Who wants to write that letter?
It's like, yeah, don't call the dragon.
Brad will write that letter next week.
And you all emerge from the Red Dragon's domain exhausted and disheartened and considerably poorer than when you entered it.
This is why I say we don't go visit dragons. Nobody
Yeah, I
listens.
feel like you're describing Birdie there. Because Wendy had a great time. And left with more stuff.
Adrex got to be a dragon and basically confronted all of his insecurities.
So I think that the only 2 people in the group that had a bad time was Raazu and Birdie, as usual.
No, Raazu had a pretty crummy time. Yeah.
When you emerge from
she
the
met the
foothills,
only hot.
when you emerge from the foothills, and Student 9, before he takes his leave of you, he asks, "Where will you go from here?"
well, we got to drop this guy, and he points to Fred. To Rolf, and says, "We got to take him south." He's doing his best, but I think you're having like a rough time, right, buddy? Yeah, he's having like a rough time.
Wolf says, "But I've been diligently practicing. I've been following your tutelage quite well, have I not? I feel like I've
Well,
been
you
improving."
want to stay with us.
He kind of swings his arm back and forth a little bit.
I mean, you're welcome to
Adrex.
stay with us, but safety not
Raazu-
guaranteed.
Raazu points back toward Kyongjiao's domain and says, "Our road is a dangerous one, human. If you're serious about this, then you need to be prepared to accept all the risks."
On the other hand, how many times have you seen stuff like that?
He says that he's sure to never see its like again.
I mean,
Well, I'm sure we'll see it.
dragon is.
Also, you probably helped save the world.
Yeah,
Eh?
yeah, that is a thing.
So then
And-
where are we off to?
Where
I
is
think we
student
need to.
9
I
going
think we
to?
need to quiz Student 9 on, more on the shit that's going down in the north. Then, because we thought that there was some crazy Lord of Blades stuff going down with demons and all that, but apparently it wasn't him.
But what do you tell
He's
him about
gone.
that?
I'm
So far, he doesn't know about any of those encounters that you've had.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is there's no point. Wendy doesn't see any point in hiding this stuff because the
Mhm.
person who we care about it getting back to already knows.
Yeah.
So Wendy is just going to ask him, essentially tell him about that the reason we have to suspect that something's coming from the north,
Mhm.
and ask him what he knows about it.
Yeah. Should we also tell him about the silver dragon we found with the
Nah,
metal man as well?
let's not worry about that for the moment.
He tells you that there are always rumors amongst the peoples of the north of the Lord of Blades returns. It's become kind of a boogeyman in that sense.
Yeah.
Every few hundred years, these rumors seem to be substantiated, at least somewhat, and scholars will look into their veracity. And indeed, that's what he's doing on his pilgrimage into the Southlands. He's looking into certain such rumors. He describes some of the portents that you might see should these sorts of things be true. One of the things he describes are like the dragonfly you captured. He describes these as eyes of the Lord's remnants in the north, people who served in his court that are now fractured amongst the wastelands.
Uh-oh. And Wendy will reach around in the pack and pull it out. Would they look something like this?
He asks where you came by this.
And Wendy will describe it.
We caught it.
He asks if you've seen creatures that
With
wield
like a big axe and like a flamethrower.
He asks if you've seen creatures that wield the most curious weapons. To your eyes, it would look like a sack of coins.
Yes.
Raazu nods.
He says, one of the Lord of Blades, he had many dukes and duchesses that served underneath him, representing the many forms of metals and oils and fires that were used to stoke the forges and build his lands large. So there was a particular archduke who was very fond of gold and made terrible creatures and many great works. He says that this duke's name was Mammon, and that he believes you've done something to anger him.
We might have killed a dragon that was working with him. Not a Dragonborn. He deserved it, though. He was an asshole.
His name was Hand Axe, and he didn't use a hand axe. Like,
And Student 9 doesn't believe you. That's the dumbest thing he's ever heard in his life.
no, trust me. I even offered to teach him. No.
So,
It's
should
always
this Mammon be
something.
around, or is this an indication that the Lord of Blades is returning?
He says if the Lord of Blades is returning, then Mammon will cease to be able to operate on his own. If this is a thing that's happening, Mammon will seek to stop it at all costs. And it might do this by reaching out into the lands to the south to find followers and worshippers and consolidate his power.
He's already done that, I think.
Yeah, we were told as such.
Wendy looks over at Rolf. How do you feel about helping us save the world again?
Rolf looks at Adrex and says, perhaps we should intensify our training regimen so that I become better with this axe.
You absolutely. We will work on that.
Student 9 tells you that if you desire to learn more about Mammon in particular, there's no safe place to do this. But the safest possible place is called Wizard's Folly, on a plateau far to the north of here, on what you would consider to be the edge of the world.
What we would consider to be the edge of the world. What would you consider to be the edge of the world?
He tells you that from where he's from, you all are the Southlings.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually. All right.
Where will you go now, Student 9, now that you've been drummed out of your place of research?
He says he's going to continue on his pilgrimage and learn more about what he can, now that he knows more about the nature of these dragons, and he's confident that they can no longer be commanded as they once could. He's going to try to find out where the rest of them reside. See if
Birdie,
he can talk his way into their court and get close enough to do more intense research.
Birdie pipes up and says, my patron supposedly killed the black dragon one. Maybe he could give you some clue as to where the remains lay, at least.
He asks Birdie if he would make an introduction.
Meeting more dragons. Didn't you say we should avoid talking to dragons?
Birdie says, the last time I saw he threatened to eat me, so probably not the best.
Was that like a friendly threatening to eat you though, or?
Yeah, is that like me threatening to eat you, or is that like I am a dragon and I will eat you?
Like, I've explained to you the situation. Like, I owe him things, or he's going to eat me.
Like, if he was going to eat you, wouldn't he just eat you?
Yeah.
Like, that's up to my party. Like, I'll bow to their whims on whether or not we want to give you... We'll travel down south there.
Well, it was your idea, so...
How about you just write down this note that says, like, hey, I'm sending you this metal man who knows a lot about your enemy, this big fire dragon. Please don't eat me, Birdie.
Would a letter of introduction work for Student 9?
You've never known that to work in the past.
That's not what I asked. I said, would it work for Student 9?
The student 9
Looking
has
at
something to give
Student
this
9,
dragon.
you're not 100% sure he's totally edible.
Do you have any tribute to send with Student 9? To maybe placate your lord?
That's actually a good idea. Like, if he'll... Well, I don't know. Like, what are the chances he runs off with all my remaining stuff?
What are
And
the
notes.
chances that you get credit for it?
Exactly. Like I said, I'll leave it to the rest of the party whether we go down there or not.
Maybe, Breck, do you need to know this now?
No.
I'm thinking maybe we make this decision. We talk to Destil.
You
Figure
guys
out.
have 2 weeks to stew it over.
Yeah, I think that sounds like the best possible option.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and go on mute while you guys... I got to set up a straw poll first, as we call it right there.
That was a meaty session.
You guys got to save the world again.
I do all want you to know that my intention was not for us to go visit the Black Dragon, but like for me just to get Student 9 away from us, because
This is your fault.
well, I wanted to be helpful to him because he doesn't actually seem like a bad guy, despite standing on the fence and almost getting us eaten.
He was
What
hedging
about
his
the fact that
bets.
he's bad at being a guy considering he's a robot?
Student. See, I don't blame Student 9 for the way he played that, because he had to hedge his bets, because he had to get out of there with his own, quote, skin intact.
More to the
Like, he
point,
already
what am I
had
going
it
to do
with-
with this giant pile of bottle caps that I have all of a sudden?
I don't think you need to put a quote on skin because, I mean, apples have skin. There's no reason a robot couldn't have skin.
Fair. So who's creative today?
I'm gonna go with Wendy for clever usage of the Legend Lore Stone that led to the potential saving of the world or dooming it. We'll find out later.
See how it is.
See, I was going to be like, for the party's goals, that's Windy. But that's fine.
That's a good point too. Saving the world is a party goal, and
Does anyone feel like they did something extremely clever? Speak up.
Adrex for hijacking the dragon.
Yeah.
a second time.
Because I mean, you were thinking about, like, I thought I heard you say, McDohl, that you were thinking about trying to break and do that again, right? To bail us out of that jam.
I'll tell you what, it's good enough for
Yeah?
me.
Who's a badass today? Raazu did throw off like 5 or 7 guys trying to grapple her.
Which
should-
Raazu instigated, which is why I'm like.
I stood on Raazu's unconscious body, and
That is true. Yes.
That was
pretty
pretty
badass.
badass.
That was
pretty
badass. Yes.
Alright, so I'll take party goals and then Raazu for intangibles for creating every single problem that we dealt with this session.
making a bad situation 10,000 times worse.
But
See,
if
I
that's
have
not
the
that's not this party's goal, then I don't know what is.
If that, yeah, if that
I-
hasn't been Dungeons and Dragons for the past 3-4 years.
I haven't. I perfectly think that Brick Road was going to find some way to to contrive some way to get the dragon pissed off at us, where we had to deal with a situation like that.
Here, yeah, okay, but you don't have to help him.
Well, here's the thing. I don't. Brickroad's NPCs have two moods, and it's surly and aggressive.
Okay, I have deposited all my bottle caps into the garbage can.
Did you hear that, Brickroad?
I just got back.
Probably
Yeah,
for the
your
best.
NPCs have two modes. Nodal says surly and aggressive.
Listen to this snitch.
What a snitch!
Listen to this freaking snitch.
Yeah, that's right.
Like the
Wait,
episodes
he
don't.
wasn't gone. You weren't gone for 5 seconds. He narcs on me.
That's so intangible.
All right, so Nodal
I
gets
love you.
no blips this week. Who else wants to make a case other than Nodal?
I'll go.
Adrex
Okay.
would go.
Birdie.
Okay, ideals. The accumulation of magical knowledge is something that makes me the most useful to my tribe. It is my ultimate path to pleasing my patrons so that I won't get eaten. So I was useful to my tribe by using everything I'd accumulated to buy 5 seconds of safety so that we could actually to buy time.
Okay.
Flaw setting traps are a great idea even when they are inappropriate. I immediately went over and set a trap in front of the red dragon statue so if somebody popped in unexpectedly they would get trapped on.
Was that an inappropriate place to set a trap, though?
I mean, no,
Because
it
if it's
wasn't.
an appropriate place to set a trap, then your flaw doesn't really apply, does it?
But I thought it was a great idea. So,
Well, wait. Here's the thing: is I think I can cut in with an argument here, which is that when he did it, I was like, "Oh fucking hell, Birdie!"
Yeah, I was there too.
So, okay, Birdie, what is the worst thing that could have happened as a result of you setting that trap?
the worst thing, Hontao could have come back and then immediately aggroed because he landed on that trap and like, what the fuck are you doing?
He's
And
right.
Bonds, focus on the little things, make the tribe stronger any way I can. I jumped on Raazu's unconscious form to save him because, like,
Her.
in that situation, if we all didn't get out, none of us were gonna get out.
That was very, very heroic of Birdie.
Yeah, that's why we're giving him the heroic blip.
The question is, why did you stop
Or
playing
the
Birdie in
badass.
that moment? Like, who are you role playing there?
Like, my reasoning was we don't have any more gods to bring Raazu back, so
It's Stockholm syndrome at this point.
He
Right.
peed on Raazu a little.
I heard Adrex wanted to go next.
Yes. Aspect, signature style, energetic. When shit was hitting the fan, Adrex could not resist hurling an axe at that one hobgoblin.
he deserved it.
Flaws, that sounds like a great idea. Student 9's suggestion of, hey, why don't you run back to the spire and control the red dragon again? Yep, that sounds like a great idea.
The best
and
idea.
Bonds, it is my cool friends and I are working to make the world a better place. It has fallen to me to try and protect them. Oh dear. That Erd? What the hell is it? Erd? Whatever.
Veteran?
Yeah.
Veteran.
Veteran, yeah.
Yeah, picked him up and hurled him into the lava because he was nothing but trouble and danger to the entire party, and Adrex just took care of that.
That
would
made me feel better.
He would have absolutely just gone along with you guys and not said anything, but Raazu made him real nervous.
And I think Adrex controlling that dragon twice, especially the second time, a lot longer time, did ultimately affect his ideal or his alignment belief, but I don't know what that is yet.
Okay.
I'm still mulling over.
Now, there's no... You're free to do that if you want. There's no compulsion to do that. That's what your charisma saves were for at the end. If you had failed those saves, you would have been moving your alignment closer to chaotic evil.
Yeah, I think I can't see any reasonable why it wouldn't affect Adrex, especially since he is a Dragonborn. So I'll come up with.
There's no compulsion to change your alignment or anything, though.
I know.
Okay.
Maybe I want to.
I mean,
Change it a little closer to chaotic.
I don't see why you would, because like this, you're playing probably the best example of a chaotic good character I've seen in D&D in a very long time.
Yeah, he's just gonna become chaotic good.
Right.
It's like Northwest.
I think the universe is not ready for chaotic evil Adric.
There was a chaotic evil Adrex. His name was Warrenex. They killed him in the first campaign.
Yeah, it's true.
Who wants to go next?
Wendy, you go first.
Wendy, what you got?
Alright, I've got learning new things is never wasted, which was literally my argument about using the Spellstone to our Dragonborn friend, or half-dragon friend.
Okay.
Remind me to disagree with you next time you bring that up, because it got me almost killed.
Oh no, it's super great. Master Tradition Redirection for redirecting Hantao to head back to town by distracting him with, like, wait a second here, what if something could be going on with your wife? When, I mean, clearly nothing was probably going on. And our place in the world is to take apart what isn't working and make something that is. For Wendy being completely unwilling to leave this temple in the way that it is without fixing the problem first.
Yeah.
Okay. What does Raazu have?
When my anger is roused, I have trouble thinking straight, and I fear I might do something I'll regret for a reason that I'm sure we don't even remember.
That doesn't come into play this session. I don't know where you're getting that from.
Yeah.
It didn't come up.
Was Brickard? I have to ask. Was it planned for some kind of manufactured reason for them to be pissed off at us to get us in the situation?
I had stat blocks for the Dragonborn and the Hobgoblins, just in case. You never know.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, pattern recognition, just in case?
What else you got?
Work hard, play harder. I earn my leisure time in Biosprum. I use it to my fullest. Like, she was really working hard with tearing down this this dragon control contraption. She really burned the midnight oil on that one.
So you flood that room with crazy acid lava that just get stupid drunk afterwards?
Yeah. Well, I have to find stuff to get stupid drunk on first.
You have like 6,000 hits of acid.
Sword arm is only the beginning of a greater world, but is a necessary first step for not backing down initially to the guys, and until she got knocked unconscious and then brought back up.
I don't think I heard you say thank you to Birdie for saving your life.
Say it. Say it. Say it.
It literally came down to Birdie's turn.
Yeah.
Before 4 Dragonborn, and you were down with 1 death save.
Birdie, you're not completely useless.
Okay, so I wanna say that now I wanna ask for the blip for my alignment. We'll do good thing. We'll help out, but wants things in return.
What did you get in return from Raazu?
The satisfaction, like, because that hurt Raazu. That physically hurt Raazu.
No, Raazu didn't say anything. That was just McDohl saying that. Raazu
still hurt McDohl.
It still hurt McDohl.
It physically hurt McDohl too.
We give 1 blip for the most creative solution to a problem in a session.
Wendy that was Wendy.
No, we gave that to
Adrex.
For
like, he had I heard McDohl say, I should mind control the dragon again. Maybe that'll fix things.
Oh, okay.
And then the NPC put the bug in his ear.
We gave that to the next one for Badass. We gave it to
The next one is furthering the party's goals the most.
Oh, that's
we
Wendy.
gave that to me.
For what?
I was gonna go with everyone else first.
What'd you do?
For just going nuts with legend lore and pressing to stay around for that second one. Like, it ended up not mattering, but there was a very real chance that Hantao would have come back when he realized, hey, I wonder if those guys are fucking me over.
We give 1 blip for being the badass of the session.
That's Birdie.
For splaying himself on top of Raazu.
And 1 for intangibles.
We gave that to Raazu for causing all the problems that we fixed this session.
Okay.
We wouldn't have it any other way.
Like, I feel like Raazu is taking my party position.
Like, I don't think I've ever, like, completely... I feel like I've derailed a session as much as I have today.
And Adrex
Just by
has
doing
a
that.
draw poll this week. I'm awarding everybody 1 extra blip for safely dismantling the magical control of this red dragon.
Multi-blip.
There was a blip up for grabs for also safely getting Hantao's wife and kids out, but I guess something terrible happens to her now.
She'll manage.
All right.
Yeah, no, I wanted to do that, but no, apparently the others weren't having any of it.
That would have involved
we were
going
not.
back into the dragon's lair.
All right, so Raazu,
Yeah,
I got
we were
5
not
blips for you.
Ooh, that's a lot of
Windy, I got
blips.
1, 2, 3, 5 blips for Windy.
All right.
6 blips for Adrex.
Ha, still came out with experience.
Big winner.
And 5
No.
for Birdie. That's including the bonus blip for dismantling all the magic stuff.
So blips are worth what now?
Also video, because I'll never remember to tell you that on
Oh, okay.
time.
Then yeah, you have, what did I say? You had 4? So you have 6 then.
Yeah.
Okay. Blips are currently
Blips
worth
are-
700, I believe.
I thought it was
Okay.
800, but I could be wrong.
700 last time.
700 sounds good.
It's 700 and it actually goes down the next 3 levels.
That
Interesting.
sounds believable.
Yeah.
Right, because we have the weird experience curve that curves down for a bit and then comes back up.
Yeah, it's because. Well, whatever.
All right, so we're not gaming next week because people are going to be away for New Year's. But I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas holiday. I'll see you guys back in 2 weeks, and we'll figure out why you're being hunted by a crazy gold demon.
So just the one blip, huh? Or just the blip experience today, right?
Yeah,
We didn't
Alright.
fight anything.
you did, but it didn't. We found a better resolution than killing everybody.
That doesn't sound like us.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know where that came from.